And yo, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is back at you on a Super Bowl week edition. Monday, Media Day starts up. So now the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs are in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl, and they're about to get it on next Sunday.
Yeah, I'm expecting a good game. Hopefully, Purdy doesn't struggle for 3 quarters like he did in the previous 2 playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
But if he has an awesome comeback, I mean, it'll probably be worth it. But I'd rather have a close game, all throughout. But we have to obviously wait and see what happens. The Chiefs have been there. Mahomes has been there. So they're going to come out rolling probably, unless the 49er defense can do something to stop that. But, there aren't going to be too many nerves on the Kansas City side, as opposed to maybe Purdy, the moment. Will it be too big for him?
Well, you know what? There's some new characters involved here. Rashee Rice being one of those guys playing for Kansas City now. He hasn't been there to be the main guy on this team. So now he's going to have the spotlight on him. Isaiah Pacheco already has been there before, so he'll have the spotlight on him. All these guys from the 49ers with all this talent, well, they haven't been there before. Now they're finally going to be there. At least Javon Hargraves has been there before because he was with Philadelphia just last season. But this time around, this 49er team is the one that's lacking in experience. But you know what? I think I said it before, and I'll say it again. Experience is probably one of the most overrated things, I guess, in football at least, because you have to start somewhere. And like going back to Tom Brady when he first got his opportunity and this Patriots team that no one really believed in. Drew Bledsoe had gotten injured early in the season. And then you get these greatest show on turf coming in St. Louis. We already know what it was about. We know about Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, and Torrey Holt. They just had everything. Even Ricky Prohl, you throw him in there. And, well, the Patriots win. So you got to start this experience somewhere. They had all the experience, all the talent, but then they lost to an up-and-coming team, and that started Tom Brady's experience for now him to move on to win all those Super Bowls he ended up winning between New England and Tampa Bay. So, yeah, it starts somewhere, but looking at the dynamic of this Kansas City team and knowing that, well, the major players in this game, which would be Mahomes on the offense at least, Mahomes and Travis Kelcie, kind of everything stops after that. Pacheco, yeah, he made some good yards last year, but he's going to really have to stand up in this game to really be part of that experience as well.
That's true. We'll see. But I want to mention Hargrove because you've been talking about him all year for the 49ers.
Yeah.
And when I watch the 49ers play, I rarely see him make any plays.
He gets the sacks. For an interior guy, he got some sacks. I think he had 7 sacks, 8 sacks this year. Last year with Philadelphia, he had 11 sacks. I mean, he manned the middle of that line fairly well this year. I was expecting more, obviously. And with all of those other guys helping out with Eric Armstead as well, Bosa on the other side. I'm not going to include Chase Young just yet because he came in late as a new addition. Going by what happened, I mean, their run defense wasn't so great last week.
Chase Young's another one. I haven't seen him doing too much either.
Well, he's
not consistently anyway. Yeah, they make a splash play here and there, but throughout the game, I saw the Packers getting big chunks of yards on the ground. That's you look at that 49er defensive line, there should not be a team getting big chunks of yards consistently on them.
And that's true. Exactly. That's what I was thinking, especially in the interior. I was comparing to a degree Javon Hargrave with Warren Sapp, someone who's in the interior that causes havoc, that gets to the quarterback, because that's pretty much just run stoppers there. Your guys who get after the quarterback on blitzes is our linebackers and your defensive ends. But in the middle, you don't necessarily look for that, but he was getting it. Warren Sapp and Javon Hargraves last year was getting it. In the beginning part of this year, he was getting it. San Francisco's had a history of those middle guys, those tackles. Look at Dana Stubblefield and Bryant Young years ago. They got it in the middle of that interior. So he just hasn't done it as consistently as I thought he would.
Maybe he's waiting for the Super Bowl to happen.
Bro, come on now. Because there was no guarantee you'd get there. And especially after they got beaten by the Baltimore Ravens.
He's been conserving energy for the big one. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying, you've been talking about him a lot. And yeah, he's very talented. I just don't think he's had the impact
he hasn't.
49ers were expecting.
Not that I was expecting either. That's why I had him as my defensive player of the year possibility in the beginning of the season when we spoke about it. But do you give Chase Young a pass because he just came onto the team not too long ago? I don't know how the defensive scheme is that much of a difference. And is he just a talent? Because he does have talent. It's just that the knee injury he had set him back.
No, I don't give him a pass. If he got traded to a sorry team with no help on the line, then you can say, well, he's getting all the attention. He's getting double teamed. He's getting chipped. They're doing this and that. But he's not the focus of the offense, the opposing OC.
No.
You got Bosa, you got Hargrave. Probably I'm not going to say he's an afterthought, but they game plan more for Bosa than they do for him. So, no, I'm going to say, no, I don't give him a pass.
Bosa is the anchor of that defense. But more importantly, you look at these plays and we get so caught up in overall stats and the stats that matter, at least to people whose eyeballs pop out, and that would be getting the sacks or tackles for loss, if it's a running back. But how about the pressures? Because Chase Young has been getting pressures. Bosa, forget about it. When he wasn't getting sacks, he was still disrupting the offense, because of his presence and his pressure. He didn't get the sack, but he ran that guy or whoever the player was into someone else who was either blitzing or maybe even into a Chase Young or Javon Hargrave or Eric Armstead.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he hasn't had the impact that a lot of people expected, myself included.
That's true.
I just think Bosa makes life easier for the opposite DN, and I thought he was going to be a monster. Maybe my expectations were too high. I'm not going to say he's been a disappointment or a bust for them, but I don't think he's had the impact they were expecting either.
No, and that's true. And speaking of the Super Bowl coming this week, everybody's going to media day. And of course, players and teams still have to practice because practice isn't an afterthought, even though it's Super Bowl weekend, they have their media obligations. They still have to go to practice. First story of the week that's going to make news, I guess, unless it gets better, is San Francisco complaining about their practice team or practice facility, which is at UNLV. They put sod on the next turf or field turf a week before. I mean, how long was it that you knew that this game was going to happen? Come on now. A week before you decided to throw it out. He hasn't played in how long?
Yeah, NFL's rig conspiracy people probably saying that's how they help the Chiefs. That's another thing that's going to help them out. They can't practice properly on the field. I don't know. I saw the headline. I didn't read any of the details. I didn't read the article, but you brought it up.
Yeah, the side.
They've known for how long, and I think that's just I don't want to say miscarriage of justice, but that's just a big mistake, a big oversight. You got to have that field ready well in advance.
Absolutely. That's what I thought would have happened. I mean, UNLV hasn't played there since when? December? Probably before December. In fact, it was November, the last time they played there. And they might have had other things that happened on that field outside of that. But come on, you knew the Super Bowl was going to be in Las Vegas for some time now. You should have been better than a week before the Super Bowl itself to put the side down and not have it make a problem for players who are coming trying to get their footing. It could cause injuries at that, not to mention. And with Dabo Swinney, not Dabo Swinney, with Deebo Samuels and his injury issues, and we know what McCaffrey hasn't been injured as much this year, but hey, little things tweak him. He's still getting massages on the sideline with his thigh. Man, little things like that could be a problem.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully that does not happen. That would be a shame if it does. And I feel the 49ers have a legitimate gripe.
Right. Yeah.
But what can they do about it?
I don't know. I don't know who's doing what. Can it just
I just thought of something I saw over the weekend. You remember in Casino when Joe Pesci's brother was being killed, beat up with the bat and thrown into the hole in the dirt, and they were making Joe Pesci watch?
You know what? That movie, I believe it or not, I had not seen.
You haven't seen it? Oh, man.
Goodfellas have not seen Casino.
All right. So anyway, there's that scene I just described. and he's begging him, "Come on, please, he's still breathing, don't kill him, whatever." And they're making him watch, and they have a Raiders head on him, and the two guys holding him, one's San Francisco and one's Chiefs, saying, making the Raiders watch the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
The freaking Raiders
on their field.
Yeah, on their damn field,
yeah.
man.
You know, Chiefs and Raiders is a rivalry.
You already know.
Well, no, it said painting the end zones. That's what it was, making them watch the end zones being painted on his field. Oh, man, that was funny.
They're making it say Chiefs instead of Raiders. Yeah, I know they're hating on that, but hey, Raiders, get your act together. You haven't done anything of consequence in the NFL forever. The last time you even had an opportunity was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was way, way back. So
and maybe they can trade Devontae Adams to the Bears for the #1 pick.
You know what?
A couple more picks, and we'll see what happens.
Imagine DJ Moore on one side, Devontae Adams on the other side, and Justin Fields possibly is the quarterback for the long term once he has.
You'd have to be an ultimate scrub to mess that up.
Yeah, and that's true. And you know, believe it or not, I don't believe he's really that bad of a quarterback, man. I just think that he can't stay healthy long enough to have any consistency.
I don't know, but let's not talk about Justin Fields.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, this is Super Bowl week. Let's not take it down the wrong way. Hey, it's Super Bowl weekend, but we also talk about this Senior Bowl that's coming up and or has passed. But I've been hearing bad stories about Bo Nix. Bo Nix is having issues. You know, the coaches allegedly are not really hyped up about what they think he was bringing to the table. They say an alleged first-round draft pick. I think he still goes in the first round. Probably not in that top 10 or 15 anymore based on these things, but I guess you still have to perform in the games because a lot of times your performance in the game is kind of the cherry on top of the ice cream cone or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So it's the cherry on top of whatever you've done. Coaches really look more at what you've done in practice and the way you've interacted with your teammates and coaches that week, more so than even the game. Now, if you happen to be a great enough player to where you just lit it up in the game too and had a great week of practice, it's going to help you. But if you've done a lot of crap in practice and then in the game, you probably just had a decent game, mediocre game, I think you're going to drop pretty far in the draft. Now, pretty far for him, could it be in the second round? I think that'll be a nice value pick for whoever picks him in the second round. And so far, I'm hearing at least the Giants are interested, which is crazy after Daniel Jones just signed that big contract.
Mm-hmm. Well, my question is, was Michael Penix injured? Because I saw on the tickers, you know, it was showing stats, this guy this guy that, and Michael Penix DNP did not play. And I'm like, well, why go if you're not going to play?
I think for that very reason, a lot of what goes on during practice and interacting with coaches and even GMs who may be there, scouts and all that, I think that's just as big as anything you do in the football field. And someone like him who had such a big season for his senior year after just being pretty average at Indiana in previous seasons, I think that's something he could probably get away with. I think they got enough film on him to where all they really needed to do probably was talk to him or put him in that practice environment to kind of fill in some of the blanks, questions that they might need answered. Not completely, but I think that's helpful because he's already played against the best of Michigan. Didn't look good doing it, but he did play against Michigan. Yeah. He played against Oregon. He's done other big things throughout the season. So you saw how he plays against his contemporaries. Now you just want to get him one-on-one. If the injury is going to be an issue, that's not too much of an issue. Speak to him, see how he practices, see where his head is, and see if you feel encouraged about what you see through him.
That makes sense. But he does have some things to prove because he missed some throws in that Michigan game that he normally didn't miss. So,
and that's true.
His pro day at Washington, what he does at the combine, I think he's got to have to really show out to improve his stock, or at least change the last memory people have of him, you know?
Yeah, because we did have a chance to see this Michigan team, and they turned out to be a pretty special team, a pretty dominant team defensively. And he did look okay until he didn't look okay. You know what I mean? Michigan kind of gotten used to them the same way they got used to Alabama and started really, making it a battle of attrition and won that game. So I think that he's done enough to where all you need to see now is what he does at the combine. Maybe even just what I just mentioned from the Senior Bowl. And I think he's still a first rounder regardless. It's just a matter of where he's going in the first round. On the other hand, with Bo Nix, based on what's been said about him, man, he's going to really need a combine to do some serious things and a pro day to kind of compound that if he falls out of the first round or not going to fall out of the first round.
So what do you think about Kingsbury going to the Commanders and
Yo,
people saying Caleb Williams got to go to Washington now?
Yeah, I think that's, does he have to go to Washington? I think that's a good deal for Washington because I think that much of Cliff Kingsbury as an offensive coordinator or an offensive mind. He's from that Mike Leach throwing the ball around everywhere down in Texas Tech. That's what they did. And he was one of those guys who picked it up really well. I remember he had a running back named Torian Henderson. We saw how well he did with him. And just in that offense and the way that offense was situated with those offensive linemen so far apart. Now, he hasn't done that in the NFL, but I think his offensive mind, he's probably North Turner up to date. Great as an offensive coordinator, just not that good as a head coach.
Well, I think if Poles doesn't want to draft Caleb Williams, he can use this to his advantage in a big way. Because, hey, New England, what do you guys want for Caleb Williams? Or what are you going to offer me for Caleb Williams? Even though they're at number 3, Caleb Williams isn't going to be there when they draft. Do they want Drake May? Do they want Jaden Daniels? Or, make the Commanders and the Patriots get into a bidding war? People can say Caleb Williams doesn't want to play for the Bears. He wants to play for the Commanders. Okay, but the Commanders aren't the only ones who might trade up.
Yep.
So I think Ryan Poles and the Bears are in a good spot. If they want to trade down, take the best out there, man. Whoever offers the best package, take it. As long as you don't fall too far down. I wouldn't go further than 4.
With the new regime in Washington, you get a little bit of house money. If not a lot of house money, you could probably make decisions you wouldn't be able to make 3 years deep in and not winning. So I think my biggest thing about Caleb Williams is really how good is he? I mean, seriously. We saw him, in his Heisman year, he looked well. This year, he looked okay, but then he also didn't look that great against Prime's Colorado team. I mean, he didn't look that great against him. He wasn't. I don't think he was the exclusive reason why they won the game. I just thought that Colorado kind of just blew it themselves because they weren't that good themselves. They actually made the game closer than it should have been. And then the things he says about whether it's his agent saying it, I don't know if he's saying it because I know how that can't work. You could say that I don't make sure that so-and-so doesn't have the first pick overall. I don't want to go to Chicago. Make sure I don't go to Chicago. And then he kind of twists it around saying, not because I don't like Chicago. I just don't want to have to compete against Justin Fields because I think he needs the opportunity that he's getting. Something to that effect. But
here's the thing about the Bears. They didn't fire Eberflus. So that to me is a big indication they're staying with Justin Fields.
Yes.
Because if the Bears fail next year, say they go 6-11, Eberflus is gone. Do you want your rookie quarterback going into the second season with the second coach already? They did it to Justin Fields. I think that happened to I was going to say Cutler, Trubisky. You can't expect the quarterback to succeed if you're constantly changing OCs, changing the head coach, installing a new offense. So to me, them keeping Eberflus, that shows me they're sticking with Fields.
And I'm wondering if they're sticking with Fields even this year, and if they did for some reason get Caleb Williams, what would really be the purpose? Because now, of course, they're going to compete against one another, but Fields is always going to have the advantage for the years that he's played, and getting used to the NFL, the speed of the game. He's not starting from scratch. On the other hand, you're going to have this rookie that's coming in, having to start from scratch, regardless of how talented he is. I doubt we're going to have a C.J. Stroud 2.0. That comes along like very rarely. You get a guy like a C.J. Stroud that just comes right in and starts doing what he had done. You can't expect that every year. And even with a guy as accomplished as Caleb Williams, I don't see that happening with him. Having those two guys on the team, how often will Williams even play with Justin Fields playing if Justin Fields doesn't get hurt? That means Williams doesn't get in at all, even as the number 1 pick overall, if he's taken.
Well, he'll probably be in by week 4 or 5 because Justin Fields tends to get hurt.
And that's true. But what happens? I mean, I know, hypothetical, if he does not get hurt, at least that early. If he's playing for 10 games, say,
should only play in mop-up situations, which the Bears aren't that good to be in a mop-up situation.
Defense got better last season as the season went on. The defense got better.
He did. But the offense didn't improve much. And here's the thing: if Fields fails next year, he's gone, and Eberflus is gone.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Because you're not going to have the number 1 pick. They're not going to be that bad, but they might be anywhere from 8 to 14. That's a disappointment for this team next year.
Yeah, that's true.
So what are they doing? What is their plan? Their plan has to be to load up that roster for Justin Fields and make things as easy as possible. Marvin Harrison, maybe Brock Bowers at number 9, or who knows? But they have to surround him with as much talent as possible, because if he fails and they don't bring him back next year and they don't bring back Eberflus, and who's your quarterback next year? I mean, the following year, Bagent? Come on.
What about Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, you take him number 1. I think this is
no.
He's not. No, I'm saying if they did take him number 1, he's a value pick no matter where you get him. If you get him number 1, he's a value pick. The problem I have with him is his injuries. This guy gets injured. Last season he got injured. The year before he had gotten injured. He got injured in his college playoffs the year before. I mean,
he ran into the goalpost, didn't he?
Georgia helped him out. Georgia helped him out.
That's a freak injury, but you know who I'm thinking of? Adrian Peterson. He couldn't stay healthy at Oklahoma either. I was like, man, I would never pick Adrian Peterson, man. He played 6 games. He played 7 games. He doesn't stay healthy, man. And even after he fucked up his knee, he came back and still was a badass.
2,000 yards after the bad knee. Come on, the year after. Not no little honeymoon period.
He proved me wrong, man. He was a badass, and he was durable for the most part.
But we knew about his talent coming out of even high school because, I kept up with the high school recruiting coming out of Palestine, Texas, and all that. Absolutely dominant there. Went to Oklahoma. Tommy Harris was there as well, a true freshman that was starting once upon a time. And as a defensive lineman, that's even bigger, tough. But Peterson, I think he had like 1,900 yards or somewhere close to that in his I think a sophomore year. But he did get injured a bit. And I remember I went to the combine my first year, my only year, going to the combine in the media room and seeing him and being so surprised about how small he looked. I don't know what I was expecting. And when I saw him, I was like, yo, bro, this dude's little. I see why he gets hurt a lot. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I guess I was expecting some monster. This guy, I mean, he wasn't a small dude, but from what I had in my imagination to what I saw out there in front of me, I was like, man, this dude's going to get hurt a lot in the NFL. Just like he did in college. Proved us wrong. Because he goes to the NFL because pretty much one of the all-time great running backs.
That's true. We can't predict the future, but I'm hoping if the Bears get Harrison that he's durable in the same way Peterson was durable.
Regardless of where he goes, man, I just hope he's healthy because this guy here, he has Larry Fitzgerald with speed all over him. So I'm not going to compare him to someone like Randy Moss because Randy was just an absolute generational freak. But as far as just being a stud player, which Larry Fitzgerald was, I think he'll be that kind of player. So reliable with his hands, but he has even more speed. And he probably Larry Fitzgerald was a pretty strong dude too. But the speed that Marvin Harrison Jr. has is what separates him. He's also 6'4", over 200 pounds. The freaking hands and the damn way he runs his routes. You can tell he and his father, same damn person. His father worked with him.
That's what I was gonna say. He was basically bred to be an NFL wide receiver.
Yes.
He's been trained from the time he was a little kid.
And that's true.
Who else? Who better than to train him than his Hall of Fame wide receiver dad?
Exactly. His father doesn't say much, but hey, he can teach apparently. Right. Yeah, but man, we're already into draft talk. But it's worth talking about just based on what we were talking about when it came to the Senior Bowl. The only running back I see worth a damn, man, in my opinion. I mean, you get running backs with a whole bunch of yards. Man, we got to see through that now. We got to see past that. We can look at running back from the past that had over 2,000 yards. Byron Hanspard had over 2,000 yards. Ron Dane had over 2,000 yards. But, man, Cody Schrader from Missouri, I think that guy, in my opinion, is the best value pick you're going to get in the draft at the running back spot.
And what's that mean? Mid-second round?
You know what? He's because of the devaluing of the running back position, we probably won't see too many of those in the first round anymore. Bijan Robinson, I thought was even a push, but then you get Jameer Gibbs coming in as well in the first round. But I'm thinking Cody Schrader, man, a second round pick, early second round, is going to be one of those running backs that's going to get paid dividends even in this devalued running back era we're in. He catches out of the backfield, tough as hell between the tackles, and had that speed to get to the outside. I'm not going to call him a poor man's anybody. He's just Cody Schrader. He's good. From Truman State, a Division II school, who transferred to Missouri as a fifth string player who just worked his way at the top and showed what he can do in the SEC.
So getting back to the Super Bowl, if the Chiefs win, they have to be considered a dynasty, right? 3 and 5 years or 3 and 6?
They have to, yeah.
But if they lose, do you still consider them a dynasty?
Man, if they lose, and depending on how they lose, because you're always going to say, man, they lost like that, but they still have Mahomes. I don't know what Travis Kelce is going to do after all this is said and done, but if you have Mahomes and they can just add other players.
Oh, you ain't heard he's releasing an album after the season. No, I'm kidding.
Country music. I was about to say, bro, come on, I ain't hear that. No, wish you never said it. He doesn't need to do it. Come on, man. Well, man's in love, making country music now. But as long as Mahomes is there and Travis Kelce's there, you always know that next year is a possibility. Now the defense has gotten better, I think, because the offense was so bad so soon earlier this past season that the defense kind of was on the field enough to gel and kind of get things clicking when the playoffs came. And they've proven it now twice, possibly be able to prove it again against the 49ers. If they lose, I mean, you can't call it a dynasty yet because of that, but there still will be. I think there's still a window for them because you have Mahomes.
Yeah, right. They still could be a dynasty.
Yeah,
I just wouldn't stamp them as a dynasty.
Not quite yet. But as an ATG, all-time great, does Mahomes come across now as an all-time great? With or without
a doubt, without a doubt. But I'm seeing social media people saying he hasn't played long enough. Man, fuck out of here.
What if these?
If he retires after this year,
he's going to the Hall of Fame first ballot.
Come on, man. He's an all-time great already. I'm sorry.
It's like, look, social. See,
if you have to believe your eyes, man, you have to believe your eyes.
Some people don't want to do that because it's not someone they want to see. They don't want to believe their eyes if it's someone they don't want to see. If you're a Raiders fan and you're looking at Patrick Mahomes, that's the guy you don't want to see because he's in your division, a pain in your butt, and part of your biggest rival. I think that you got to really use some discretion when you decide to listen to people on the internet and go to these different groups. How it is and how they speak and how they go about it, how they're reprimanded for their idiocy.
Well, shit, I've always, not always, but maybe for the last 12 to 15 years, I've been saying people should have to fill out an application to join the internet.
And that's true.
Because there's a lot of dumbasses out there.
Oh, unbelievable, some of the things. And some of these groups do have a small little spot where you can fill in, say this, what's your favorite team, what's this player? They may say something like that, but that's not, you could go on Google and figure those things out and then get into the group and start spoiling.
There's no vetting process.
There's no vetting, man. The only way to get these guys is at a round table or on even a group call, a group chat or something, and see what they're really about, and see if they really believe what they're saying. And behind closed doors, of course, they're going to, on the computer, they're going to say things they don't have to really be accountable for. In person is when people start kind of telling the truth because they start feeling the safety is ahead. But yeah, but Patrick Mahomes, all-time great right now. Travis Kelce, someone said he's better than Tony Gonzalez. I don't know, man. Bro, Tony Gonzalez, bro. People forget this guy.
Is he better than Gronk?
Nope. No. Gronk was faster. We saw the speed on Gronk. They put like 20-something miles an hour for the tight end when he was at full speed. Gronk had a quarterback to get the ball to him. Travis Kelce has a quarterback who gets the ball to him. I think Gronk made more plays. I don't even have to look at the touchdowns. It just comes automatically to me to say, damn, I remember Gronk making a whole lot of plays. Travis makes plays too, but I've also seen him drop some passes.
Well, we got a guy in Chicago named Cole Kmet. When he was drafted, people were like, his comp is Gronk. I'm like, man, I sure hope he's half as good as Gronk. Kmet, he catches the ball, and he's nothing like Gronk. He's a good player. But Gronk, you'd have to tackle him. He would run you over if you let him.
And he'll finesse you.
Kmet gets tackled by small cornerbacks, smaller safeties. I'm like, this guy is not Gronk. But I mean, I wasn't the guy who made that comp, so maybe that was an unfair comp for him. But there's levels, man. There's levels.
Oh, come
Commit
on,
down
yeah.
here, Gronk way up there, bro.
Right now, I think Gronk probably is the best tight end ever. I know old heads may come in. Hey, I'm one of them now.
Kellen Winslow.
Kellen Winslow, say things like that. Or, Mike Dick,
Christensen.
Come on, but Mike Dick, different kind of football, man. Different time the way guys are catching the ball. Hell, I could go back to even Mark Bavaro not getting the credit he deserved playing for the Giants. And Bill Parcells said one of the toughest guys he's ever seen and dealt with man to man. He just wasn't that kind of player that got the ball all the time. But when he got there, he was a tough dude. He dragged the entire 49ers team. We saw that years back, including Ronnie Lott. We saw that on Monday night.
He didn't look to go down. You had to bring him down.
And Jeremy Shockey, man, another tight end that was hellified. Just injuries kept him out of the game. That guy was an absolute brute. His first, I think, preseason game against the Houston Texans, he just ran my man over. That just kind of made a whole new legacy for him. And he lived up to it for the most part, but the damn injuries. And that's what it was. But, right now, I think Tony Gonzalez, come on. How can you say this so soon that Travis Kelce just pretty much makes you forget about Tony Gonzalez? That's insane. Tony Gonzalez blocked, caught, had speed. He had everything you needed. Tall.
That's true. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get around to doing the top 10 tight ends list like we did for running backs and
we could get around to that, man, to give these dudes respect because, look, Shannon Sharp.
Wide receiver before.
Forgot about him. Shannon Sharp. People talking like this guy. You mean the guy in the podcast? No, the dude who won Super Bowls. That guy. I'm not saying he's a caricature.
Shannon Sharp,
Shannon Sharp was a beast.
Off the top of my head, I got to have Shannon top 5.
Oh, easily. Bro, maybe even top 3, but Gronk's at the top.
Yeah, I just haven't really given it thought to start ranking people, but Sharp's top 5. Oh, without a doubt.
What he was able to do on the football field with the Denver Broncos when he was younger. I mean, he was a wide receiver. That's what he was. He came out of Savannah State, man, an HBCU, a small HBCU. Matter of fact, they're probably best known for being like a 76-point underdog against Florida State several years ago. It set a record. But yeah, man, he played for Savannah State and came to the NFL and didn't miss a beat. He stayed in the weight room. I remember they used to have him on all those fitness magazines, taking creatine or whatever it might have been. Man, I don't know what it might have been, but yeah, he's just a strong dude. But Shannon Sharp, another one of those names that shouldn't even be forgotten. Ozzie Newsome, you start go back to the old school dudes. Yeah, come on, Ozzie Newsome's a Hall of Famer, man. We're not complaining, but a lot of because of the offensive changes, tight ends are better.
So let's pivot. You said 76 points. Yeah. That made me think of Joel Embiid because he dropped 70.
Yeah.
Is the NBA going to drop the fine against the 76ers for him missing the game?
That's what I was going to ask.
You and I talked about it at the time. Like, did they not see the dude fall on his knee? Do they not know he might have a knee injury? But I guess the fine was for them not putting him on the injury list, which I guess is a violation. But
they don't know.
If you saw him if you saw the guy land on his knee and you saw how much pain he was in, and they mentioned it during the broadcast immediately, he might have a hyperextension. You think he's going to play the next game?
It's a meniscus now, and it's getting repaired. So it does that $75,000, regardless of if it was put on the report or not. And first of all, why does it have to go in the report? Because of Vegas. That's why it has to go in the report. Just like the NFL and just like these other sports, you got to make the announcement about who's playing and who's not playing because it affects, depending on who it is, the outcome of the game or or the line that's being bet on.
The money line, all the parlays,
everything. Mm-hmm. Stop acting like these gambling and football or sports is not synonymous in terms of the integrity you're trying to put out there. Cut it out. It's full of crap. And that's why he needs to put that down because, because Joel Embiid may play, they're a 3-point favorite. Well, if he's not playing, now they're a 2-point underdog. That kind of nonsense. And it changes everything. And you need the money starts flowing different ways. And come on, man. The NFL is the NFL is hypocrites anyway, but the NBA follows the same way. So now,
it's a devastating injury for them. Who knows how he's going to come back after the surgery? Because they're saying he's expected to come back, but at what percentage? Is he going to be full strength? He's not going to be full strength right away.
You got a whole season,
So,
man. You got
right.
down the stretch.
So
Down the stretch, they come time is for the NBA now. Once the All-Star game is over, now the pretenders start disappearing. The 76ers are a legitimate team, but that grind really gets tougher
but
right
not
after the
without
All-Star break.
Embiid, they're not.
Yeah, well, that's probably yeah, that's true. That's true. But man, I mean, I still think give those boys the $75,000 back. But the NBA doesn't want to sound like or try to look like they made a mistake saying what they said or doing what they had done. So whatever. These are billionaires. Yeah, you
Right.
get $5,000, no big deal. 75 grand is 75 grand, billionaire or not.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, maybe he was gonna give it a go, and then he went out there. No, I can't do it.
I can't. Yep. And players do that.
And then say, you know what, we need to take a closer look at this. And then they found out he had a meniscus issue.
Yep.
Because
So
I'm sure if he had the meniscus issue and they knew it at 2:00 in the afternoon, why wouldn't they put him on the injury list? Why hold out? That serves no purpose. They get no advantage.
Man, I don't know. I mean, hell, you feel bad for any player that happens to, but just find them 75,000.
You know what's messed up? They didn't even call a foul on that play, man. And for years and years, it's bothered me. Just because you're reaching in to try and get a jump ball, you can jump on top of a dude. That's a foul. That's a foul. That's something they're gonna have to look at because he fell on his knee. If he had been turned to the side, we wouldn't be talking about this. But he was flat on his back, and dude landed right on his kneecap. That's a foul, man. That's a foul.
Painful, man.
You can't just dive on top of a dude. Oh, I was going for a jump ball. Come on, man.
And these NBA players are like high priced cars, man. They're like, I'm serious. You get up on them and you see how they're built and how these, man, so low body fat. They just get injured like almost immediately when they crash into each other or someone falls on them. They get injured. And a player like that, who's a marquee player, also a MVP candidate, he was the head right now until he got injured. I doubt he's going to be able to do it. Hell, he might not even be able to play the games to qualify for the MVP.
Oh, he's not going to play 65 games.
Nah, if he's injured. He's already missed, 12? Before this injury?
I think before the injury, yeah. So at least 13 or 14 now.
So, bro, I mean, come on now. And I don't think they should force him, try to get what they can out of him if he's just coming back from injury as well. Unless they, you know what, if they're making a playoff push and things are getting tight, man, you know what, you always put all hands on deck and you want to put your best out there, even if they're kind of limping through because it is a grind overall anyways. But you don't want to jeopardize his career over it. Because,
it's just, I don't know if they have the assets to make a move, but I don't see them being all that competitive without him. When he's ready to come back, are they going to be the 6th seed, the 7th seed? Are they going to be in a play-in situation? I don't think they'll be bad, but with Embiid, they're contenders, not favorites. Not favorite to beat the Celtics for sure, but now, shit, I don't know if they're favorites to beat the Heat.
Yeah, he's been pretty cold lately, but hey, they do like they did last year, just pick it up in the second half of the season and start putting that grind on. But I heard some rumors about some trades that possibly could happen. The Knicks are a favorite for Jimmy Butler. Bruh, come on, what are they doing here? I mean, I'm asking, what is the Heat doing? If I'm the Knicks, yeah, hell yeah, I'll take him. If I can get him.
I hadn't heard that, but he would fit in well. I mean, I don't think he's been in a situation where he hasn't really fit in well. He wasn't happy in Philadelphia.
Yeah. It seemed like the locker room didn't like him. They started throwing shade at him as soon as he left.
Probably because he didn't want to put up with their BS. Like if he was with Philly last year, and I know they lost, there's no way they blow a 3-1 lead. No way not with Jimmy Butler on the team.
Yeah, he'd have probably cursed out James Harden.
But what's messed up is now Harden's on the Clippers. I think they've won 20 of 25 or something.
Yeah, they've been
They're
hot.
playing fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, they're probably getting rid of it right now, not having anything for the playoffs.
Philly has these problems. Usually Harden leaves and the team gets better. But now, I mean, he still got to do it in the playoffs.
Yep.
We'll see. But The Clippers are rolling. I think they're a game out of first place in the West.
Yeah, man. Minnesota's still number one right now. But man, you know, keeping up with all what's going on, man. Look at these Golden State Warriors still making bad decisions in the upper management. Steph Curry dropped 60 points on Atlanta,
They
still
still
losing
lose.
the game. Bro, he hit 10 dimes, man. He's killing it.
I know. It's crazy.
10 trays is just absolutely killing it out there. Still losing the game, 60 points. I mean, I guess Atlanta, though. Atlanta's not doing all that well this year.
I watched the end of the game. I don't know if I saw a tweet or I saw something, Trey versus Steph. I'm like, oh shit, let me put it on. So I found the game.
Yeah.
And it was Steph more than Trey. But Trey had more help. DeJounte Murray was
Jalen
they didn't have
Johnson.
an answer for him. Johnson.
Yeah.
They didn't have an answer for him. They didn't have an answer for anybody. They were double teaming Trey Young, and they had a chance, but Steph missed the buzzer beater. And then in overtime, it was a wrap. The Hawks went on an 11-0 run.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And it was game. And it was because Trey Young had more help. If Steph wasn't doing the scoring, Klay Thompson was putting up bricks. Who else was out there? Some dude, Quinones. I don't even know who Quinones is. I think he had he had 16, but when it mattered, he didn't have nothing. He was putting up bricks in overtime. It was ugly. And Steph started hitting threes. I think he had 52 at the end of regulation. He ended up with 60.
60, yeah.
But his threes was cutting the lead down to 6 from 9. You know, not to 2 from 5.
Yeah.
So, and then they played the free throw game. And
he's the only dude out there doing anything, man.
Exactly. That's
I think he had 11 free throws in that game. That's it.
Yeah, he normally doesn't go to the line too much. You know, jump shooters don't get called.
Nah, because he's not driving like that. But he drives on occasion. He gets
he does.
Yeah, but he hit his 3-10. He hit 10 3-pointers. Hell, hit 43% from the 3-point line, man. The NBA average is like 37% this year so far. I mean, even on a night like that, he's still just better than he ever do.
It's just you got to be very disappointed as a Warriors fan because at the end of regulation, they had like a 4 or 5 point lead and they lost it. And then overtime, you know what happened. So I was watching that game. I'm like, Steph, don't be a guy to drop 50 and lose. And he had an opportunity to hit to end it, but he missed the buzzer beater.
Going on.
He missed the buzzer beater. And see, you always ask me last shot, do I want Steph? And I always say no.
True. I still take Bird then. Yeah, but how about Klay Thompson? I mean, mentally, or was his legs, man, because of the knee injury? Dude had 10 points that night. Another inconsequential night.
I don't know. I don't know if it's physical or mental. I don't know. But see, when they won it in 22, he was playing well in those playoffs.
Yeah.
People thought he was going to up his game because it's another more time removed from the injury.
Yeah.
He'd be getting better. He's gotten worse. And I don't know. He had a stretch where he was shooting better, but I don't see it. So it's probably physical because maybe when you're used to shooting a certain way and you jump a certain height on your jumpers, and maybe you don't know you're jumping that same height. So your shot's coming up short and you're not adjusting your shot, your follow through, your release.
But you think all that stuff is automatic for someone like him. I mean, that's what he does. You think that getting your groove back wouldn't be too difficult because you got the form. You just got to get your legs under you and get back into position to do those same things.
Yeah, but because you notice he's still a good free throw shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But on his 3-pointers, if you're used to jumping a certain height and your release point is always the same, it's usually the same height. Now, if you're an inch or two lower than that height, now your release point's got to be different. You got to put a little bit more on it. Maybe he doesn't realize he's not getting the height on his jumper.
Wow, man.
Like if it was me and I'm like, man, I've been a great shooter all my life and now I can't shoot, man, let's put on the film, coach. Come sit with me. Let's see what we can find out. What show me in my prime and show me now. What's different? And if you see there's a difference in height, well,
Work.
now you know maybe you don't have the range you used to. You have to bring it in, or you got to jump higher. Put more effort into your shot. I don't know. That's what I would do.
Yeah, but you just think when he did it like unconscious, he and Steph, when they were the Splash Brothers, they still want to be the Splash Brothers now. It's just Splash Brother now, just one guy.
Right.
It looks so natural, man. The way this guy hit his shot, man, it looked like just water, just shooting it. I mean, it almost looked like he don't even have to look at the basket, and it was going in at that point. Now, he's missing badly on some of these shots.
And some shots are
the entire freaking rim.
Some shots he's open. Wide open.
Wide open. Man, that was almost a dagger in the heart if he was wide open at any time in the past. Now, dude's wide open and sometimes not even hitting the rim. Bro. I mean,
it could, the mental part of it could be where, and I've been saying this, he's arrogant. He's thinking, oh, I'm just off. It's gonna come. It's gonna come. It's gonna come. And we're halfway through the season, man. It hasn't come.
Nope.
So he's got to do something, make adjustments. When Michael got older, Jordan, he couldn't get to the basket as easily as he wanted to.
Game became,
it would take more energy than it used to. So he developed the post game, the fadeaway jumper. He adjusted. Maybe Clay needs to, I'm not saying develop a post game, but he's got to make some type of adjustment.
It's a different NBA now. These guys wanting to shoot 3-pointers don't look like they're going to change their spots at all. That's just, it's ego ball now. I'm known as a 3-point shooter. I want to stay on the outside and hit the threes. Larry Bird was known as a 3-point shooter, but Larry Bird still did a whole bunch of everything else too. It's just a different NBA. And these guys, they get their signature shot, that's what they're going to use. And his just happened to be beyond the arc. It's not like,
who he should go see? Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark. Why? So Cheryl Spooks can talk crap about him too? Look, Clay, you still suck. No, it ain't really matter that you hit 3-pointers anymore. You're not as good anyway as you thought you were. Man.
I'm not gonna say Brock Purdy is as good as Caitlin Clark at her game. But for some reason, people like to take shots at both of them.
Yeah.
And now you mentioned Cheryl Swoops. She was on the Agent Zero Rings, Gilbert Arenas podcast.
Yeah.
And she was lying. She said that the only reason Caitlin Clark is threatening Kelcie Plum's scoring record is because of the COVID year. This is not Caitlin Clark's. It's not Caitlin Clark's 5th year. This is her 4th year. Same amount of years that Kelcie Plum played.
And fewer games as well.
She's out there. If you're gonna hate on somebody, at least get a fact that you can lean on to hate on them about. Don't fabricate shit.
Yep, but doesn't this reek of the same nonsense I mentioned just a couple of days ago when it comes down to these bigoted athletes? They don't want to see certain people break records. They don't want to see certain people doing well in their so-called alleged sport. Yeah. That's what's coming down. You hear some nonsense like this. If Candace Parker was in her prime or was in college like she was in Tennessee, doing what she was doing, Cheryl Swoops would do nothing but put her hands around her in the sisterhood. With Caitlin Clark, it's a different story because that's what it is now. She doesn't care about her playing ability. She doesn't care about her breaking the record. Well, she does care about her breaking the record. She doesn't like that it's her doing the breaking. That's it.
But Kelcie Plum, she's not biracial, is she?
No.
So why should she care if she's breaking another white girl's record?
No, this is the mindset of these doggone knuckleheads who decide to try to enforce their nonsense on other people. When they just don't like a player or they do it for the wrong reasons. There's no reason to say this type of nonsense she's saying. And she's only getting away with it because of Gilbert Arenas and the people who listen to his show. They're not going to hold her accountable for it. It took other people on social media to hear this nonsense and call her out the way she should have been called out. I'm just thinking they needed to add the extra cheese of the bigotry that's involved. It's not so clandestine. I think it's pretty damn obvious. Call it what it is. That's what she's doing.
It sure seems that way. It sure seems that way.
I'm
not gonna lie, man.
It's always the same damn thing.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty much addicted to Caitlin Clark highlights. I go to YouTube when I'm trying to kill time, and then I see a thumbnail. Caitlin Clark drops 40 on or Ohio State or whatever. Like, oh, they play. Let me watch. And man, she's shooting past the logo.
Way
And
past.
you can see she has the ball. I'm like, man, you better get up. Too late.
Too late, bro.
Why are you not guarding her? As soon as she gets across half court, you need to be on that girl, man. But not only that, she throws no look passes. She blocks shots.
She does it all.
It's not even
IQ.
like she's 6'5", 6'6", throwing people. She'll come from behind it and throw your shit. Man, I'm addicted to her highlights. I'll watch every time.
They need to appreciate her because she may be the reason why people may decide to watch the WNBA when she goes in. No one's watching it. Not even women, the ones who complain about no one watching it.
That's true. You would think they would rally around that. She goes on the road and they set record attendance.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking when she finally comes, because I've watched a lot of female basketball players over the decades now, from Rebecca Lobo to, I mean, you look at Cheryl Swoops herself. You know, I think Cheryl Miller would have been a hell of an addition to the WNBA. But you look at Diana Taurasi when she was coming out of UConn. These great players, and none of them really giving that buzz to where the mainstream is saying, let's sit back and watch this because it's a basketball game, not a novelty that needs people to feel sorry for. Now you get someone like Caitlin Clark who comes with her own band, and she has a skill set, and she will be the reason, if anything, for people to at least take a look at the WNBA for more than one game or two games just to see what she's doing. And because of her game and the way I think she does have that type of skill set and now personality to where it's going to be more than a one-off or a three-off for people who aren't used to watching or don't want to watch the WNBA, because that's the reason why I'm going to watch it, because of her.
Yeah, it's one thing to get an assist, but man, I'm telling you, she drops dimes, man. She'll throw a pass where other people wouldn't even think about throwing that same pass, and it leads to a layup for her teammates. You know, we talked about a couple of weeks ago. She's the first to have this amount of points, this amount of rebounds, this amount of assists. She's the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says. Maybe Cheryl Miller.
Cheryl Miller, bro. I wish she would have come.
She didn't play with the 3-point line, but would she shoot from the logo? I don't think Cheryl Miller would have shot from the logo. If Cheryl Miller comes along now, she probably would try and mimic what Caitlin Clark is doing.
That she would have worked on that. I think she would have been able to do it. The only one, though,
being that she was just a 2-pointer, the Caitlin Clark's the only woman player I've ever seen that made me say, "Wow." Make me watch all of her highlights that I come across. She's the only one. I mean, you mentioned Lobo, Taurasi.
Yeah.
You know, I thought Sue Bird was pretty good, but I never checked in.
Nope.
Sue Bird highlights. Never.
Man, and look what Cheryl Swoops had said. You know what I mean? It's like she's breaking her neck to throw shade. And she's saying, well, for the record to really matter, how ignorant and stupid is this comment? For the record to really matter, I think they need to do it in the same amount of games. Are you kidding? That just throws away everybody's deal now. So all these records we just saw that might have been broken in 17 games in the NFL.
Stop keeping stats after a certain amount of games.
Exactly. Now, does Barry Sanders' 2,000 yards matter because he did it in a 16-game season, or OJ did it in a 14-game season? You know, now you got to look at those kinds of things and start saying, well, he didn't do it in 14 games, so it's not valid. When in reality, Barry Sanders did get 2,000 yards on a nose in 14 games because he only had 53 in the first 2 games. The bottom line is she's coming up with something like that, breaking her neck to throw shade at a woman like that because you have your own agenda and we know what it is. It's not surreptitious. We already know what you're talking about. Cut out the nonsense, because she's going to be the reason why it finally brings press to the WNBA when she gets there. I know there will be people out there hoping she flops because that's just how people are, the degenerates like that. But I think she's just too good and she will overcome, and we'll get a chance to watch in the WNBA because her first game in the WNBA, I'll be watching, and I'm sure a whole lot of other people will.
I don't know if I'll watch, but if I see a thumbnail saying she dropped 35, I'll watch the highlight.
First game in the WNBA, you got to watch? Bro, I mean, I'll make the effort. I don't remember any other player I would have made the effort to watch because she's there, see what she does in the WNBA.
It
for at least
depends.
that one day.
It depends what else is going on at the time.
Oh,
It
well, yeah,
depends.
that too. Speaking of things
But
going on, if we could pivot now from basketball to football, I mean, from basketball to boxing, Tyson Fury, Usyk, done. Alexander Usyk.
well, I heard it was rescheduled for May.
Yeah, reschedule. I mean, done for now. We wanted to see this fight next month. Well, this month. But and now it's going to be in May. A cut on the eye. Initially, there was talk about Fury sparring without a helmet on, which I thought would have been the dumbest thing of all time and deliberate if he did do that, but he obviously didn't. Cuts happen in sparring, even with helmets. Guys' heads get wet with sweat and things happen. George Foreman got his cut against Muhammad Ali. I talked to you before the show started in 74. Postponed the fight. They stayed in Africa, had the fight in October.
I'm trying to remember. There was a fight a few years ago. Fury got cut badly on his eye, and he had to rally to win that fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, is it the same eye?
I think it's the other eye because I think he got cut by that right hand against Otto Weiland. I gotta check it out. I thought it was the other eye. He got cut in the left eye.
Right.
This one,
I'm just curious. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. But
I'm wondering if was it a punch or an elbow or something else that might have hit him to make him cut. I didn't even hear anything about that part.
Yeah, I mean it was a gash. It wasn't a cut.
No, it was a gash.
Was deep.
A few butterflies.
Whatever it was, he caught it pretty good.
Yeah, man. But that's boxing, man. It's a physical contact sport, and things like that do happen. There's a lot of money at stake and all that, man. So I doubt it would be deliberate. But if he did go in there without a helmet, like people were saying initially, come on, that's nothing but deliberate. I'm trying to find a way out of this fight, which I don't believe.
Oh, speaking of Rocky 3, Apollo Creed had Rocky in the corner. He's hooking. And I'm saying, how come you don't have headgear on? But besides that, rest in peace, Carl Weathers, man. He's a legend.
Oh, absolutely legend, man. You know what? I watched Rocky 3 again yesterday, in honor of Carl Weathers, but I do watch Rocky 3 at least twice a week anyway. But anyway, I'm watching, you just mentioned that sparring session that he had with Rocky. He's hooking. I'm like, wait a minute. He's throwing jabs at Rocky. When the last time you saw Coleman throw a jab? The dude fought all these rounds. I never saw a jab in the entire freaking career.
Yeah.
Right hands and hooks. That's it. He's just a wrecking machine.
I think Apollo Creed is one of the greatest characters in all movie history. You think about just all of his nicknames: the King of Sting, the Count of Monte Cristo.
Monte Cristo.
I love his nicknames.
He had everything. Man, and Sylvester Stallone said, man, I couldn't have had Rocky and had the success I had without that Apollo Creed character. That's true. Guy for the right part. The guy was a former football player with the NFL and the Canadian Football League. Came in with that physique. I kept reading about people saying the best physique I've ever seen in the movies. Bro, you might have an argument for that, man. That dude was cut up in this movie, man, as a boxer, and he looked the part. But also, he did do a little boxing on the side and did martial arts and things like that. Man.
Now, here's what I'm wondering, because he has some great quotes in his movies, in the Rocky movies too. Were they written for him, or did he come up with them?
Oh, I don't know what.
There is no tomorrow when he's hooking them, and Rocky's like, "We'll do it tomorrow." No, there is no tomorrow. But when they're asking him, he's being interviewed, and he's telling kids, "Go to school." It's hard being an athlete. Don't be a jock. Be a thinker, not a stinker.
Bruh, yeah. Because, obviously he was supposed to be like the Muhammad Ali, the guy that's slick with the mouth. It depends on who you believe or who you listen to. That fight was supposed to have been the Chuck Wepner Muhammad Ali fight. Right. If you listen to Chuck Wepner.
Listen to Chuck, yeah.
Yeah, because Chuck just, come on. Chuck still
you look, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, man. A lot of circumstantial evidence.
But then some of them say it was Joe Frazier because he worked in the slaughterhouse when he first came from South Carolina.
It was a combination, but
I thought it was Chuck Wepner.
Chuck went into the wrestling ring, and the next thing you know, Rocky's in the wrestling ring.
And that's true.
Chuck goes to prison. Sylvester Stallone's making lockup.
You know what? I didn't think about that.
Chuck says, "Hey, Sylvester Stallone's here. He wants to see you." What's he doing here? Oh, he's making a movie. Making a movie? What the hell? And he's like, "No, I don't want to see him. He's still in another part of my life." I said a lot of circumstantial evidence,
You know,
man.
there is circumstantial evidence when it comes to that because I do remember, Chuck Wepner did fight Muhammad Ali, and
I
that
think he
bonus
settled.
knockdown.
I think he got a settlement too.
Yeah, I think he did something off the.
So where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, probably so. But these boxing characters, man, anytime there's a dollar to be made, they'll be there to get theirs, especially if they don't have to get their butt kicked in the process. But he did it.
Yeah, but we got off track, man.
That bonus knockdown against Ali.
We got off track. It's about Carl Weathers. One of my friends, I haven't seen him in a long time. It was when I lived in Indianapolis, and when I posted on Facebook, RP Carl Weathers, aka Apollo Creed. He replied, he's like, man, this one hits me hard. I'm legit sad. And I can imagine there's a lot of people out there feeling the same way. So, condolences to his friends and family.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm sure he lived a wonderful life. He was in a lot of movies, played different characters, played the piano in Happy Gilmore.
I didn't even see Happy Gilmore. I saw the clip when they were showing it after he passed. What the hell is this dude?
You ever seen Happy Gilmore? Man, that's another one you got to watch. I'm going to send you a list.
Bro.
But you know what? You're not the only one. I haven't seen The Godfather, any of them.
What?
I don't know. Like,
well, as long as that movie is, man, sometimes on a Sunday, I watch it twice, man. On a Sunday. That movie's like that's the thing. Long.
That's the thing. I didn't see it growing up. So now for me to block out 3 hours or 6 hours if I want to watch Godfather 1 and 2, and there's a 3, right?
Yeah,
like,
3.
I would have to just binge one day.
They went over the third one.
So that's the reason.
Yeah, part 1 and 2, I agree with that. Part 3, bro, you should have left it alone. Leave well enough alone. Bro, let's cut it out, man. It's over.
But RP Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, man.
All you did.
Man, I guess I took his greatness as an actor for granted because after he passed, man, Apollo Creed died. You feeling it from that. But then you see all these other people talking about Rocky in particular, but then they start going to Happy Gilmore and all this. I'm like, I haven't even seen these movies. He was in The Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. All these movies that he was in, man, just killing it. But he would always be iconic for Rocky. And he needs to have a statue, man. Come on now. Let's get that Apollo Creed statue going.
Oh, yeah, the other one, the one we always talk about, his other quote. I won, but I didn't beat him.
I won, but I didn't beat him. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Bro, and you know what? I was watching that clip again yesterday because I did the Rocky 3 thing, but then I started going on the internet for just regular clips, and I saw that one. And to think about it, even though it was a movie, but to think about it, he didn't have to do anything. He could have just moved on. He didn't have to fight him again. Kind of like Roy Jones. Really didn't have to fight Antonio Tarver again. He could have just, I got the win. Let me just slide on out of here. But they went back, man.
That's true.
Fighter's mentality, man.
That's how I think most boxing fans want their favorite boxer to be. To have that pride.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? That fight didn't sit right with me. Let me go out there and do better in the rematch.
Yeah, and that's true.
I think that, unfortunately, it was a fictional character because there aren't many boxers. You mentioned Roy. I mean, there have been a lot, especially further back in time, not so much recently.
Oh, yeah.
But
for all intents and purposes, man, look at Floyd Mayweather, that Maidana fight, he got away with one, man. That was the only fight I really sat there like, bro, he lost his fight. I saw that in a movie theater. And I'm like, bro, he lost his fight. And then they announced the decision. I'm like, bro, he got away with one. But then he came back in that second fight. He says, I'm going to fight him the way I wanted to fight him the first fight. I should have fought him the first fight, and he made it an easier fight. But, man, because before that first fight, he said, you're going to see something different tonight on this fight here than you've seen before. He stayed in the pocket, he took a beating, man. I mean, he did well in the fight, just showing his toughness. But then in the rematch, he wins the fight. So, yeah, he's done it twice. Castillo did it the first time, came back in the second time and took care of Castillo. So, yeah.
See, I don't think he lost to Maradona. I watched that fight, the first one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I was thinking.
The best I could come up with is a draw. I haven't been able to watch that fight and score it and say, yeah, Maradona won. Every time
being in the theater without a card, not getting score cards and all like that, just being in the theater, watching round after round, I'm like, bro, because I know the 9th round he kind of picked it up a little bit. He stunned Maidana, but I'm like, man, and that was the first time I went to a theater to watch the fight with all these other people. And they announced the decision. I'm like, bro, I'm like sitting on the edge of your seat, wondering he's probably gonna lose this damn fight, and then he wins. But like the Canelo fight, After the third round, I was like, bro, it's a cakewalk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all those people that were there watching, they were just pissed off. Oh, nah, this is a cakewalk. So I just started talking nonsense. The Madonna fight, though, that first one. I was like, yo,
Yeah, but I did have him losing the first Castillo fight. I don't even think it's debatable.
yeah, of course. You know, he had to show the injury, but guess what? You could have postponed. You chose to fight. People want to use that, but he had the arm injury. He had this and that, bro. You chose to fight. You know, you could have postponed it, but he did it. And he came back in the second fight, took care of business. But yo, I don't care. You know, people bring Harold Letterman's card because they try to justify. See, even he said so. Yeah, but Harold Letterman's had some pretty screwed up cards in his day too. Come on, man.
He had some good ones, but he had some bad ones.
He had some bad ones too. Yeah, I'm like, God, now you got Steve Fallon taking the honors, you know, making bad scorecards every now and then. But anyways, hey, that comes to a conclusion for this first show of the week, man. Kind of ran the gambit on this. You know, coming from the NFL, starting with the Super Bowl, 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs are now in the city, Las Vegas, to start their preparation for the Super Bowl, which will come next Sunday. Media Day and all the things that come with it all this week. We'll be back on Thursday, and I'm sure there'll be some storylines to talk about with that too, especially with this nonsense with San Francisco talking about the football field, the side at UNLV's home field, which is ridiculous. It shouldn't have nothing to worry about with that. But until then, deuces.